All right, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam discussion. And today's topic is the disappearance of Lord Krishna. So, but I'll share a little bit more about what I have thought or I have planned for today. Before that, we'll recite the prayers, the Mangalacharan prayers, and the invocation prayers of Srimad Bhagavatam. So let me, so we'll start with the Mangalacharan prayers, and then I'll share the screen with the invocation prayers for Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Adhyanitimidandhasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatha Andritam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavati Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We'll recite. Huh? Okay. If it crashes, you let me know. So I'm being told my video is laggy, and that's usually a sign that it may crash. So I'm not sure if, huh?
Right now it's okay, but it was bad.
So if it crashes, and if just in case if Zoom stops working, then or it crashes, then please rejoin. I'll restart my computer and restart Zoom right away. So in a few minutes, please try joining again if that happens. That kind of thing has happened before. So, it may happen. We don't know. Okay, I'll share my screen and then we can recite prayers for Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, hopefully you can see the screen. So this is the topics from Srimad Bhagavatam class. Our usual pictures of Suta Goswami. And then if you would like, you can unmute and recite this. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shlokir Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandakumara Govindaya Namo Namah. Okay, so this is the topic on the disappearance of Lord Shri Krishna. So this topic also starts in Canto 1. And last week we covered the topic of the disappearance or the leaving of the home or the palace by King Dhritarashtra, and how Vidurji helped him to come to his senses and finally at the fag end of his life to make spiritual progress. And so he quits home, and then the scene shifts back to Maharaj Yudhisthira, and this is the topic where we will discuss. This is the very next chapter in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So that Dhritarashtra quits home was chapter 13, and this is chapter 14 of the first canto. So this is called the disappearance of Lord Krishna. However, this chapter number 14 consists not really about the pastime or the leela of the disappearance of Lord Krishna back to his abode, which is the spiritual world, but the effects of Lord Krishna's disappearance in this material world. What is the experience of everyone, especially Yudhisthira Maharaj, especially his devotees, and Yudhisthira Maharaj is a pure devotee, of the disappearance of Lord Krishna, and the feeling of separation that everybody, all the devotees of Lord Krishna feel when the Lord disappears. So that is the main content of chapter 14, and it spills a little bit into chapter 15 as well. So we will cover some portion of chapter 15 as well. Then the actual pastime of the disappearance of Lord Krishna, how he disappeared, that whole, and how the entire Yadu dynasty, the dynasty of Lord Krishna, which is known as the Yadu dynasty, that whole dynasty also disappeared because all the Yadus were associates of Lord Krishna. So they had come down to the earth planet, to this material world, to assist in the pastimes of Lord Krishna. And when Lord Krishna's pastimes ended, the Yadus also did not have any need to stay on this planet. So the Lord arranged even for their disappearance. So that whole pastime is mentioned in the 11th canto in chapters 1 and 30 and 31. So chapter 1 is the first chapter, and 30 and 31 are the last two chapters of the 11th canto. So that pastime we will also cover because it's related. So we will also cover that. So this whole topic of the disappearance of Lord Krishna will go on for a few weeks. As you can see, there are about 5 chapters to be discussed or for me to share, and very wonderful pastime, very wonderful story is there. So, I don't know how long it will go. It might go for at least 2-3 weeks. We'll see. So we will have this, we'll start with this discussion today. Then another discussion that I wanted to have, and we can start with it maybe first and then move to the discussion of the disappearance of Lord Krishna, or do it the other way around, is the yesterday or today, depending upon, the location and the exact position of the moon, because we are based on the lunar calendar. The Vedic system is based on the lunar calendar. Is the appearance day, the birthday or the Janma Tithi, the appearance day of Srila Narottam Das Thakur. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about him as well. This is not strictly a topic from Srimad Bhagavatam, but it is very, very relevant for all of us, all the Vaishnavas under Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I absolutely want to talk about this topic as well. And Srila Narottam Das Thakur is very, very prominent Acharya in our disciplic succession. If you look at the Bhagavad Gita, where the entire disciplic succession is given, anybody knows where in Bhagavad Gita the disciplic succession has been mentioned by Srila Prabhupada? Quiz time. Who knows where in Bhagavad Gita is the disciplic succession mentioned?
Chapter 4.
We have gone through it several times in our Bhagavad Gita classes. Huh?
Page number 30.
Before the first chapter.
Yeah, before the first.
Say that again, please. I can't hear you.
Before the first chapter.
For the
preface.
first chapter, yes, that is correct.
In the preface.
In the introduction, not in the preface, but in the introduction. So before first chapter means at the end of the introduction. So at the end of the introduction, Srila Prabhupada has given the entire disciplic succession, which starts from Lord Krishna, and he imparted the spiritual knowledge to Lord Brahma, who imparted it to Narad Muni, and Narad Muni's disciple is whom? Who is Narad Muni's primary disciple? Vyasa.
Vyasa.
Yes.
Vyasa Maharishi.
Yes, we discussed that in some of the previous weeks, that the spiritual master or the guru of Vyasadeva is Narad Muni. So that is this connection. And then there are other acharyas going down. And then very prominently at number 22 is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. So Lord Krishna appears again as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he is number 22 in this list. And sometime when, if time and circumstances permit, we will talk about his spiritual master, which is Ishwarapuri. And then very wonderful pastimes have occurred. And his spiritual master, his guru, which is Madhavendra Puri. Very, very prominent and acharyas in our disciplic succession. So anyway, if you come down to number 26, you will see Narottama, which is Narottam Das Thakur. And he is in our disciplic succession. So that is why it is, and not only that, he is very, very prominent. I can say that for pretty much everyone. So, that's fine. So let me share something about Srila Narottam Das Thakur. So does anybody here know a little bit about Narottam Das Thakur? What is he most famous for?
His bhajans.
Many beautiful bhajans.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. Many, many beautiful bhajans. So he is an expert at many things. He is, but he has left us some of the most deep bhajans. If you read his bhajans, I mean, I have read his bhajans, some of them, and they are just out of the world. They convey the philosophy, they convey the love that devotees have for Lord Krishna. They convey so many topics in such meaningful ways, and they are sung across the world, across many, many places. Certainly in all of the Iskcon temples, Srila Prabhupada established that the bhajans of Srila Narottam Das Thakur should be sung every day. So Narottam Das Thakur has made huge contributions to our lineage. So I will just share, attempt to share a little bit about him. Okay. So, Narottam Das Thakur, as you can see from the disciplic succession, is fourth from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Rupa Goswami, Raghunath, and Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, and Jiva Goswami. Then Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami and Narottam Das Thakur. However, Narottam Das Thakur was directly a student of Srila Jiva Goswami as well. So there are some overlaps and some kind of in this disciplic succession. Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami was also a disciple of Srila Jiva Goswami, and Narottam Das Thakur absolutely considered Srila Jiva Goswami as one of his Shiksha Gurus. But
I can't see what did you say?
Master,
Amazon? Which is
so what was I saying? Where was I?
You said Narottam Das Thakur considered Srila Jiva Goswami as one of his gurus.
Yes, and I was going to say something after that. Anyway, it'll come back to me. So, Narottam Das Thakur was born in, so let me switch back to this picture. And we can see his picture and we can, listen and, meditate on Srila Narottam Das Thakur. So there is a very, very important work called Gannodesa Dipika. And it is still, that book is still available. I'm sure there are online copies as well. But in that book, one of the things that is done, so as we know, Lord Chaitanya is none other than Lord Krishna himself. And he came to this planet, to this earth, about 500 years ago. And to basically initiate this whole movement of chanting the holy names of Krishna. So this Yuga Dharma, or the main occupation, this main spiritual occupation of Kali Yuga is Nama Sankirtana, or chanting the holy names. That is the only way of making spiritual progress in the Kali Yuga. There is this wonderful verse called Harer Nama Eva Kevalam Kalau Nastyeva Nastyeva Gatir Anyatha. That Harer Nama Eva Kevalam, only the name of Hari. And this has been repeated thrice, so which means it's very important. Only the name of Hari, only the name of Hari, only the name of Hari is Kalau Nastyeva Gatir Anyatha. That in the Kali Yuga, there is no other way. Nasti eva gati anyatha. Na asti eva anyatha. Na asti means there is not. Na asti eva, certainly not. Gatir anyatha, no other way. Gati means to make progress or no other process. Gatir anyatha for Kali Yuga. So for Kali Yuga, there is no other way to make spiritual progress other than Harir Nama Eva Kevalam, other than the name of the Lord. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in this world to establish this process. And a lot of his associates also appeared at his time. And this book that I was mentioning, Gannodesa Dipika, gives the spiritual identity in the spiritual world of each of these associates of Lord Chaitanya. Of course, at the topmost is Lord Chaitanya himself, who is Krishna. Then there is his elder brother, Lord Nityananda, who is none other than Balaram, Lord Balaram. And similarly, there are so many, pretty much every single spiritual entity of the spiritual world in Krishna Leela has appeared during the time of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srimati Radharani is considered to be Gadadhar Pandit he is also one of the Panchatattvas. We sing this Panchatattva mantra, right? Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya, so that's Lord Chaitanya. Prabhu Nityananda, that's Lord Nityananda or Balaram. Shri Advaita Gadadhara, so that then there is Advaita Acharya and Gadadhara, Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, and there is Shrivas Pandit. So these are known as the Panchatattvas. Among that there is Gadadhar Pandit, who is none other than Srimati Radharani as well. Of course, Srimati Radharani didn't appear as a female. There is no identity, female or male, in the spiritual world. They are all spirit souls. So he appeared as Gadadhar Pandit. And of course, it is said that Lord Chaitanya himself was Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani combined. So like this, all the associates appeared in this world of Lord Chaitanya. And in this book, the correspondence, the mapping is given. So the secret has been revealed in this book. And there are so many wonderful acharyas, their spiritual identity has been given. For example, one of the most prominent acharyas in our disciplic succession is, so let me ask you, who would you consider to be one of the most prominent acharyas in our Gaudiya Vaishnava spiritual disciplic succession? Please share with me.
Srila Prabhupada.
Okay, Srila Prabhupada.
Rupa Goswami.
Rupa Goswami.
Yes.
Chaitanya
Rupa Goswami.
Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Sure. I mean, okay, he is Krishna himself. So great. Any other names pop up in your mind?
Srila Bhaktivedanta.
Prabhuji, can I tell one?
Yes.
Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur.
Okay, wonderful. Wonderful. All these are, there is no comparison, there is no ranking. It's not like one is bigger than the other. But right after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have Srila Rupa Goswami. And he is considered to be the leader of all the Gaudiya Vaishnava followers. So we are all called Rupa Nugas. Rupa Nugas means the followers of Rupa Goswami. So Rupa Goswami is our leader, our spiritual leader. So anyway, all the acharyas are our leaders, but he is considered to be, we are considered to be Rupa Nugas, or the followers of Sri Rupa Goswami. So anyway, Rupa Goswami's spiritual identity happens to be, or is given in that book as Rupa Manjari. So Manjaris are the maid servants of Radharani, of Srimati Radharani in the spiritual world. So Srimati Radharani has a lot of friends, a lot of sakhis who assist her to have her pastimes with Lord Krishna. So Rupa Manjari is the chief of the Manjaris. So there is a whole team of Manjaris assisting Srimati Radharani. And Narottam Das Thakur is mentioned in the book to be known as Champak Manjari. And she is the prime assistant of Rupa Manjari. So Rupa Manjari is the prime assistant of Srimati Radharani, and Champak Manjari is the prime assistant of Rupa Manjari. So like that, it has been described. So even in the time of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the teachings of Narottam Das Thakur are very, very important, and they directly follow the teachings of Srila Rupa Goswami. So we can see that connection in that way as well. So that is the spiritual identity of Sri Narottam Das Thakur. So Narottam Das Thakur was born in a Kayastha family. Kayastha family is, as per the caste system, etc., by birth, which is all incorrect and it doesn't work that way. As we have seen in Bhagavad Gita, Guna Karma Vibhaga, Chatur Varniyam Maya Shrishtam, Guna Karma Vibhagashaha, Lord Krishna says that these Varnas have been made according to the Guna, the qualities and the activities, karma, not according to birth. But in the sort of the degraded caste system, this Kayastha family is not considered to be very high. But Narottam Das Thakur was born in this family, or Lord Krishna arranged it in a way that he was born in this family, primarily to emphasize the fact that it does not matter what family you are born in. That is completely immaterial. The only thing that matters is your level of devotion. So Lord's devotees can be born in any family. The only thing that differentiates a devotee from others is his devotion. Absolutely nothing else. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Narottam Das Thakur did not have they were not contemporaries. Narottam Das Thakur was born slightly after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed away, or disappeared from this world, and went back to his original spiritual abode. However, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself predicted the appearance of Narottam Das Thakur as one of his very, very loving associates. So it is mentioned there is another wonderful scripture or another wonderful work. I'm trying to see the name, or the name is Bhakti Ratnakara, but I'll tell you. Yeah, this does not seem to be in Bhakti Ratnakara, but probably it is. So there is another work called Bhakti Ratnakar, which has a lot of these descriptions that I'm going to share with you today. So it is mentioned that at one time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was crying out the name of Narottam Das Thakur. He was just saying Narottam, Narottam, Narottam. And Lord Nityananda, who is none other than Balaramji, he could not understand why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is crying out this new name which has never been heard, Narottam. So he asked him, whose name is this Narottam that you are taking? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that he will come in the future, and I am depositing my tears or my love in my tears for him. So these are, he was crying as he was taking the name, and he said these are tears of love which are capturing the love which will ultimately be given to Narottam Das Thakur. So Lord Chaitanya, after this kirtan and dancing and episode, he went to a nearby river called Padmavati river, and he deposited his love in his tears in that river. And he told the river that you keep my love safe with you. And there will be a great devotee of mine who will come later, and his name is Narottam Das Thakur. And when he comes, you give back, or you give this love to him. So the river asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, some of this to some of you may sound a little like a fantasy. How is Lord Chaitanya talking to a river? But that's not fantasy. If you look at the yesterday itself, we were reading from the Kṛṣṇa book how the river, Yamuna river, used to interact with Lord Krishna. So it's not, if you read the pastimes of Lord Krishna and Lord Chaitanya, it's not strange to understand that how can a river be talking to a person? These are Lord's leelas. So the river asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how will I recognize him when he comes? Lord Chaitanya said, don't worry. As soon as he enters into your waters will overflow. They will start overflowing as soon as he enters. So the river said, okay, no problem. I will keep your love safe within my safe keeping. So anyway, some time passed, and Narottam Das Thakur was, from the beginning of his birth, from the time of his birth, very devotional, very nice boy. And one time when he was, it is said, about 12 years old. So he was about 12 years old and he had a dream. And in that dream, Lord Nityananda appeared and told him that there is the pure love of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu waiting for you. You should go and take a bath in the Padmavati river and receive or accept that love. So very next morning, Narottam Das Thakur, his name was Narottam, the Thakur title was not yet given. So he goes and takes a bath in the Padmavati river. So as soon as he puts his foot in the river just completely overflowed. And the waters just started swelling. So then the river knew that this must be Narottam Das Thakur. And the river very nicely deposited all the love that it had kept into the heart of Narottam Das Thakur. So after that day, Narottam Das Thakur was completely transformed. And he had these deep feelings of attachment to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And also at the same time, he had deep feelings of detachment from the material world. So Narottam Das Thakur was born in a very, very rich family, extremely rich family. It was a family of zamindars. Zamindar means landlords or people who own a lot of land and they rent it out to farmers for farming, and that makes them very, very rich. And they collect taxes and so on. So but he developed a lot of detachment from this worldly life, and he wanted to escape from this life and go to Vrindavan. So this was all happening in Bengal. He was born in Bengal, in a place called Khetri. Khetri is, as I read, in the what is known as the Rajshahi district, so in Bengal. So he wanted to run away from this material life. Now there are different accounts whether he was able to escape soon after or after a few years. It's not very clear, at least from whatever I read. But finally he was able to escape. His father tried to stop him many times, but he finally escaped. He put even bodyguards to check that this boy should not escape. When he saw that he has these tendencies to leave the material world and just take renounce everything. So he put some bodyguards and he was able to cheat or whatever you can say, trick, that's a better word. He was able to trick the bodyguards and escape. And he started going towards Vrindavan. So one very nice episode occurred when he was going towards Vrindavan is that he was going obviously barefoot. There was no trains or planes or anything. And he didn't have any money or anything. So he was just going barefoot. And he was very tired, very thirsty, very hungry. And his feet were all, cut and bruised, and he was barefoot. So he was very, very tired. So then out of nowhere, a golden colored Brahmin appeared. A Brahmin with golden color. And he saw this boy and he said, okay, I have brought some milk for you. So why don't you drink the milk? You will feel happy. You will feel nourished. He thought, yes, I'll drink this milk after I, next morning after taking bath and all, I will drink the milk. So, and then he went to sleep. And in the night, Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami appeared in his dream. And they treated him like their own child. They very nicely comforted him in the dream. They rubbed his body or his chest, his face, his forehead with their hands. And with their own hands, they fed him the milk. So next morning when he got up, all the milk was gone and he was feeling completely nourished. All his fatigue was gone, everything. He was feeling completely fine. And he was so blessed to have the darshan of Rupa and Sanatan Goswami in his dream. And then he also realized who was that golden colored Brahmin who appeared and gave him the milk. So any idea who was that Brahmin?
Sudama. Sudama.
Lord Chaitanya.
Lord Chaitanya.
Yes, that's right, Lord Chaitanya. So when I said golden colored Brahmin, that should have given away the
Lord Chaitanya.
So that was Lord Chaitanya himself who brought him the milk. So he went towards Vrindavan. So then there is another very nice sorry, this is taking a lot of time, but it's okay. He took formal initiation from a very, very great acharya called Lokanath Goswami. So his Diksha Guru, the spiritual master who initiated him is Srila Lokanath Goswami. Lokanath Goswami is another very, very prominent acharya, but he does not appear in the disciplic succession. The disciplic succession, this one that is described, lists Narottam Das Thakur after Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, and who is after Srila Jiva Goswami. So that is how it has been listed, but Narottam Das Thakur took formal initiation from Lokanath Goswami. And Lokanath Goswami was a very, very renounced personality, and he did not want to accept any disciples. And the reason is that he did not want to feel like I have, somebody who I can call a disciple, or, I am superior, this person is my disciple. Those feelings of, not to have any feelings of pride or ownership that these are my disciples, none of those things. He was completely renounced to such an extent. Now, it doesn't mean that those acharyas who have disciples are proud or anything. They know that they have to continue the disciplic succession. So they take on disciples in a very humble mood. So there are both ways of thinking. So there is no right or wrong answer, but this was Lokanath Goswami's thinking. Anyway, Narottam Das Thakur was very, very inspired by Lokanath Goswami, and he wanted to take initiation from him. And he had such a strong desire. So he, of course, approached Lokanath Goswami and he said, no, sorry, I don't take any disciples. Please find someone else. But he was so inspired by Lokanath Goswami that he said, no, I will take initiation only from him. So what he did was that he used to try to find ways to serve Lokanath Goswami anonymously, as in without him knowing. So what is the role of a disciple and relationship between a disciple and a guru? How would you describe that relationship between disciple and guru? Anyone? In one word, if you were to describe the role, what would that be?
It's like a parent and child.
Parent and child. Okay. Any other word?
Do service.
What is the disciple?
Like a servitor.
Yes. So the primary role of guru and shishya is service. So a disciple is supposed to serve the guru, just like he's supposed to serve the Supreme Lord. And a guru is a representative, a bona fide representative of Krishna for any disciple. His guru is like a representative. So he tried to serve Lokanath Goswami, and serve in the most simple, the most, just straightforward way. So what he used to do is that when Lokanath Goswami used to go to sleep in the night, he would come and clean his little hut. Outside the hut, he would clean it. Lokanath Goswami used to, near his hut, somewhere in the forest or somewhere, in the village or wherever his hut was, he would go and do his toilet, in the morning. So in the night, Narottam Das Thakur used to come and clean that area, the toilet area, wherever he would, pass his uh, waste. So he would clean that area very nicely and, leave it very clean. So next day when Lokanath Goswami would come, he would find that area very clean. He would think, what happened? Who cleaned it? So this happened a few times. And then Lokanath Goswami got very suspicious. What's going on here? So one day then Lokanath Goswami decided to find out. So he hid behind a tree or something in the night to watch who comes and cleans. So he saw Narottam Das Thakur used to come with a broom, with a pot of water, used to very nicely clean that area and then go away. So Lokanath Goswami was very impressed by Narottam Das Thakur, and he called Narottam Das Thakur and said, okay, I will accept you as my disciple. So he accepted, and then that made Narottam Das Thakur very happy. So Lokanath Goswami had only one disciple. He had no other disciples at all. And his only disciple was Narottam Das Thakur. But this one disciple was so great that he was like 10,000 disciples. He was like such a wonderful disciple of Lokanath Goswami. So it is said that some of these very, very prominent acharyas have just one disciple, but all their teachings, all their learnings are spread to the world through that one disciple. And such disciples are usually very, very big or very prominent preachers. So Narottam Das Thakur happens to be one such person who was the only disciple of his guru, but he himself was a very, very prolific and very, very prominent personality in terms of spreading the Krishna consciousness in his time to thousands and thousands of people. So however, a lot of the time that Narottam Das Thakur spent was under the spiritual shelter of Jiva Goswami. Jiva Goswami is the youngest of the 6 Goswamis, and he's a nephew of Rupa and Sanatan Goswami. And Jiva Goswami gave very nice instruction to Narottam Das Thakur, along with 2 more very, very important personalities. And you can see this picture. Am I still sharing? Probably not. In this picture that I was sharing, you can see 3 people. And the one on the left is Srila Narottam Das Thakur. And the other ones, one of them is Srinivas Acharya and Shyamananda Pandit. So these 3 were the 3 main people who were getting their learning or their spiritual education from Jiva Goswami. So after they completed their education under Jiva Goswami, awarded them titles. So of course, Narottam Das Thakur was not a direct disciple of Jiva Goswami, but he was still awarded the title of Thakur by Jiva Goswami. So he was, from that time onwards, he was called Narottam Das Thakur. And Jiva Goswami instructed his 3 students to go and spread whatever they have learned from him to many, many places in the world. So they made lots of copies, handwritten copies, not Xerox, not, no scanners or anything. They hand wrote a few books of Jiva Goswami. They copied them by hand and took those copies to Bengal from Vrindavan, so that people in Bengal could read the works of Jiva Goswami. We will talk about Jiva Goswami at some other time, but he was he has written more works than Vyasadeva. And imagine, Vyasadeva has written all the Puranas, all the Vedas, all the Upanishads, all the Mahabharata, everything. But Jiva Goswami's works outnumber that of Vyasadeva, and not outnumber by 10 or 20% or anything. I think it is like more than 3 times the amount of verses that had been written by Vyasadeva, that many were written by Jiva Goswami. So anyway, they were able to probably copy, this is my speculation, not everything that Jiva Goswami wrote, only a part of it, and they carried them. So they were considered the first book distributors in the lineage of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They made copies of the books and they took them to Bengal from Vrindavan. So, okay, I think we can stop here. One last thing I will mention is that another important incident that happened is that after Narottam Das Thakur reached Bengal, in his birthplace of Kheturi, he organized a big festival. And in that festival was co-organized by Srinivasa Acharya and Narottam Das Thakur. And when in that festival, there was a lot of kirtan and everything going on. And when Narottam Das Thakur was singing the kirtan, at that time, Lord Chaitanya appeared. And he was personally dancing. Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda both appeared and they were dancing in his kirtan. And everybody else could see that. Now, Lord Chaitanya had ended his pastimes long before. So everybody could see that, could realize what a great devotee Narottam Das Thakur is, that when he was singing the kirtan, Lord Chaitanya himself appeared to dance. And this shows what a wonderful devotee of Lord Chaitanya was Narottam Das Thakur. Anyway, so Narottam Das Thakur was not just about writing the wonderful songs and singing. He was spiritually very, very knowledgeable as well. So in the Krishna consciousness movement, and especially in Iskcon and all, you will see it's very famous for kirtans. So if you go on YouTube and you just type the word Iskcon, or the general feeling is Iskcon is all about singing Hare Krishna and just singing and dancing. And the other famous thing about Iskcon is a lot of prasadam. So everybody would think that, this whole Iskcon is all about singing, dancing, eating. So it's all about, enjoyment, spiritual enjoyment. But that is the thing. These people don't know any Vedanta philosophy, any they just, spend their time singing, dancing, and eating. That is, even at that time, that was the sort of the understanding that all the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what are they doing? They're doing just kirtan all day. What's the point of doing kirtan? So as we have said, kirtan is the only point. So people who say that what's the point of doing kirtan all day and not anything else, first of all, they are mistaken. Kirtan is the point, Shravana and Kirtana. And it is, the second thing is, it's completely false that the focus of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not on understanding and reading Shastra. That is completely false. So there is another long incident which I think I will skip today. Maybe I'll save it for next year when the appearance of Narottam Das Thakur arrives, where there was one proud Brahmin who was a very big Shastri, very big scholar, and he challenged, or he wanted to challenge the Vaishnavas. So Narottam Das Thakur was a little disturbed when he came to know that there is some proud Brahmin coming to challenge us. So he what he did was that he went. So as that Brahmin was coming through the various villages, he went to a village before his own village and disguised himself as an ordinary man, I think as an ordinary potter who makes pots or something like that, or a carpenter or a cobbler or something like that, some ordinary person. And he intercepted this Brahmin as he was coming towards the village of Narottam Das Thakur. And he asked this Brahmin, okay, so who are you? He entered a conversation, and that Brahmin was so proud, and he said, I'm going to this village and I will defeat all these people in the scholarship. I'll have a debate with them and I will defeat them. He said, okay, what will you talk to them about? He was just engaging them in a conversation. And in that conversation itself, he completely defeated that Brahmin, Narottam Das Thakur. And of course, he didn't know that he's Narottam Das Thakur, but and Narottam Das Thakur did not want to do this as a show that, see, I am so great. So that's why he disguised himself. And plus that other Brahmin who was so proud, he thought that, oh my God, I have not even reached the real village where I'm supposed to have the debate. 2 villages before itself, this carpenter or this ordinary person was able to defeat me in the debate. And he ran away. He didn't even go there. So this is how Narottam Das Thakur, in a very anonymous way, without showing any pride or anything, he averted this whole fiasco from occurring. So these are just some of the glories of Narottam Das Thakur. There are so many nice bhajans of Narottam Das Thakur, which is what at least he's very famous for within the devotee community. And his bhajans are sung every day in all the Iskcon temples, at least, and many other Vaishnava temples as well. So these are some of the glories of Sri Narottam Das Thakur. So I'll stop here. It's already almost 7 o'clock. But are there any comments? Anybody would like to add anything? Anything that you want to say at this point? Otherwise, then we can, after some time, we can do some Bhagavatam discussion as well.
Prabhuji, I just want to thank you for taking this topic today, special topic, appearance of Narottam Das Thakur, and spending an hour on it. Very informative. Yeah, and very enlightening. I don't know, I'm getting goosebumps. Such wonderful pastimes. Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I have the same sentiments as Anita. I just wanted to express my gratitude. Thank you very much. And please continue to engage us in such in history of our great Goswamis.
Yes, absolutely.
Prabhuji, thank you very much. Otherwise, we may not be knowing the chance to know all these wonderful people.
Yes. So we must try to not only sing his bhajans, but also read his bhajans and understand word by word meanings of his bhajans as well. Very, very beautiful bhajans he has written. So let me show you where you can find his bhajans. Again, I keep saying this all the time, but there are, it takes a lot of repetition and, hammering, so to say, in the head to get it, firmly inside our head. So there is I hope you're all familiar with this. Let me open it in incognito so that it's completely in clean situation. You don't get any cached hits from my side. So there is a website called tinyurl.com/GitaPDX. This is a Google Drive folder that I have created where I just put some nice things, the PDFs of Bhagavad Gita, audio of Bhagavad Gita, and many things. So this is just a one place to kind of go and get some stuff. And within this, there is a folder called Interesting Documents. And within that, there is another folder called Songbooks. And within that, there are 4 different PDFs of songbooks. So you can find these songbooks on the internet. But if you can't, or if you don't know what search to give, etc., I'm telling you this is available here. And the 2 versions that I like, all of them have similar songs or same collection of songs. But the one that I like, one of them is this one called the Prabhupada Vaishnava Songbook.pdf. And I will explain you why I like that one. The other one, which is more sort of easier to navigate, is this one called Vaishnava Songs compiled by Iskcon Chowpatty. The devotees of Iskcon Chowpatty are doing wonderful service in many, many areas. So as you can see, there is a whole index here. And in this index, it starts with Pranam Mantra that we recite at the beginning of every class. So that whole Pranam Mantra is there. Then Temple Program Prayers, this title is there. This whole set of prayers that are used in temples or sung in temples every day. Then there is a whole section called Songs by Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So Narottam Das Thakur and Bhakti Vinod Thakur are the 2 acharyas who have written, among other things, one of the things that they have done is written these wonderful songs, just completely out of the world bhajans. So there is this whole section, and then there is this section called Songs by Narottam Das Thakur from page 52 onwards. Almost you can see there must be like 20 songs at least. And then up to page 62. So in these 10 pages, there are all these different songs. So very, very wonderful songs are there. You can, we'll sing them sometime, but like this, you can go and read these songs. Now in this particular book, so there is should be one song, Sri Rupa Manjari Pada. That's very famous right here. So here, like there is this song, Sri Rupa Manjari Pada, Sei Mora Sampada, Sei Mora Bhajana Pujana. Then the translation is given of that verse. The lotus feet of Sri Rupa Manjari are my treasure. So like that, the translation of each verse is given. So you can see there are 4 verses, 1, 2, 3, 4 over here. And there are 4 verses in the translation as well, 1, 2, 3, and 4. But the other book that I was mentioning, which is the Prabhupada Vaishnava Songbook, the beauty or the benefit of this particular version of the PDF is that it has word by word meaning as well. But the problem is that it doesn't have an index. So, everything, maybe someday they will come up with a version which has index also. So what I generally do is I do Control F and search for Narottama. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, so these are all the songs by Narottam Das Thakur. You'll have to do some search. Oh, this is from Sharnagati now. So then Prarthana. So this is probably not organized by Acharya or by the author of the songs. Anyway, so in this particular PDF, the benefit, as you can see, is that every word by word meaning is given. Like in Bhagavad Gita, for every verse, word by word meaning is given. So like this, you can understand the deeper meaning of the songs by looking at the word by word meaning. I like the word by word meaning very much, whether it is Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam or anything. This is one of the things that if you want to go deeper into the writings of the Acharyas or of Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, look at the word by word meaning. So in these songs, what I like in this particular PDF version is the word by word meaning. So anyway, you can pick whichever, but try to internalize, read these songs and sing them. And you can find lots of YouTube videos in which they have been sung in a nice way with the nice tune and all that. You can learn the tune from there and sing. So Nama Sankirtan is Hare Krishna Mahamantra, as well as these bhajans. The bhajans bring their whole different meaning to our Krishna consciousness. So we must definitely slowly develop attachment to these wonderful bhajans. Okay. Yeah. So any comments or questions on Narottam Das Thakur?
Prabhu, I just had one question. How are manjaris different from gopis?
So manjaris are the assistants of Srimati Radharani. There are many gopis, but the manjaris are specifically they don't directly associate with Lord Krishna, but they assist Srimati Radharani in associating with Lord Krishna. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Everybody, every personality in the spiritual world has their specific role. So the role of the manjaris is to assist Srimati Radharani. They dress up Srimati Radharani. They bring the flowers for her. They bring so many things, and Srimati Radharani is an expert cook as well. So she cooks wonderful dishes for Lord Krishna. It is said that Srimati Radharani is such an expert cook, she never cooked the same thing twice for Lord Krishna. So every time she cooks, it's a brand new dish. Imagine that. And the manjaris help Srimati Radharani to bring all the ingredients and chop the vegetables and whatever needs preparation needs to be done, used to be done by the manjaris. So they are basically assisting Srimati Radharani in her pastimes with Lord Krishna. But they themselves don't associate with Lord Krishna. Anything else? Okay. If nothing else, then we can continue with our we can have maybe 15-20 minutes of discussion on the disappearance of Lord Krishna, the pastime of the disappearance of Lord Krishna. Okay. So this, like I said, the pastime of disappearance of Lord Krishna will start in the first canto, chapter 14, go into chapter 15 as well. And then the main content of chapter 14 and 15 is the effects of Lord Krishna's disappearance, and effects in the material world and the effect on the devotees. And the effect on the devotees is primarily that of separation, the feelings of separation. The actual pastimes will be covered in Canto 11, which we will also cover right away during our discussion. So over the next couple of weeks. So we'll jump from one canto to the other. Like, for example, in the case of Mahatma Vidur, we jumped to Canto 3 and see what he did and how he was insulted by Duryodhan, and how he left the palace, and then how he met Maitreya Rishi and Uddhavji and all those, and then came back to Canto 1, where he comes back to give advice to Dhritarashtra. So we'll jump to Canto 11 at some time. So chapter 14 of Canto 1, which is titled The Disappearance of Krishna, starts with Yudhisthira Maharaj sending Arjuna to Dwarka to find out how Lord Krishna is doing and what are his next plans. What does he plan to do next? So Arjuna goes to Dwarka, but he does not return for a very long time. And many months have passed, 7 months, it's described in the Bhagavatam, pass away. And Arjuna has not returned. And Yudhisthira Maharaj is getting very anxious in the meantime. He is also, now if you remember from the pastime of Dhritarashtra, when Dhritarashtra went away, when he left the palace, and Yudhisthira Maharaj was very sad to see that Dhritarashtra has left. Who came and consoled Yudhisthira Maharaj?
Narada.
Yes, Narad Muni came and consoled him. And one of the things Narad Muni had hinted to Dhritarashtra, to Maharaj Yudhishthir, was that Lord Krishna will be soon ending his pastimes on this planet. So this was already, making Yudhishthir very anxious. So when Arjun did not return for such a long time, he got even more anxious. And another thing happened, which is that Yudhishthir Maharaj was seeing all these bad omens. He could witness so many bad things happening around him. So he was also getting this signal that something really bad is going to happen in this world. And what is the worst thing that can happen from Yudhishthir Maharaj's standpoint in the world? The worst thing that can happen is his separation with Lord Krishna. That's the worst thing. So we will cover this later, but this is a very, very important learning from this chapter, that for the devotees of the Lord, there is nothing that can give pain to the devotees. Nothing can give pain, or nothing can bring sorrow to the devotees, because the devotees don't care about pleasure or pain. But one thing definitely brings a lot of pain to the devotees. What is that? What brings pain to pure devotees?
Separation from the Lord.
Separation from the Lord.
Yes, absolutely. Separation from the Lord brings so much pain to the devotees. Look at the gopis. They were so sorrowful when in the separation with Lord Krishna. So similarly, Yudhishthira Maharaj was beginning to feel that Lord Krishna will be leaving this planet, and he was already feeling that separation. So he saw so many inauspicious omens, and very nicely it has been described in the Bhagavatam, and this also gives a sense, and of course Bhagavatam will describe this in other places, but here it is described the kind of the qualities of Kali Yuga. So when Lord Krishna will disappear, then Kali Yuga starts, and he's beginning to see those inauspicious things already. So these are describing some of the qualities of Kali Yuga. So what did he see? So he saw, first of all, seasonal irregularities. He saw that the seasons are not working in the proper way. And we see that these days, when there is supposed to be rain, there's no rain. When there's not supposed to be rain, then there is flood. And so many seasonal, problems are there. Then the other thing is in the nature of people. He saw that people are beginning to become more greedy, angry, with cheating mentality, appearing to live their livelihood by cheating and by all these kind of activities. He saw cheating between friends, between father and son, between mother and son, between brothers, between friends, between husband and wife. Now we can see all these things happening in this time. These are things that we consider normal now, but Yudhisthira Maharaj did not see these things as normal. So he could see that Kali Yuga is beginning to arrive. And so he was getting so anxious, he went to Bhima, his brother, and expressed his anxiousness. He's saying that, what is going on? Is Lord Krishna going to end his pastimes? That's why I'm seeing all these bad omens. And then he says a very nice verse. So today we don't have any verse recitations, but he says a very nice verse that Lord Krishna is the cause of all our welfare. He is in fact the cause of our lives, and which is very true. Lord Krishna saved the lives of the Pandavas so many times, and he is the cause of our victory in the battle and so many things. Basically, Lord Krishna is everything for us. And I see all these dangerous omens, and I'm feeling that Lord Krishna will leave this planet. So he describes some of these omens to Bhima. He says that I'm getting, my body's shaking at times when it shouldn't shake. My arms and my thighs and my eyelids, they are shaking. My heart is getting palpitations, beating very fast. So these kind of things are happening. Some dogs are barking continuously. Jackals are crying. And then he said that the useful animals like the cows are passing me by, but the asses and the donkeys are circumambulating me. They are encircling me. Actually, it is supposed to be the other way around. These useful animals like cows and all are supposed to, they usually circumambulate. They have the higher consciousness. They know Maharaj Yudhishthir and they circumambulate him. The asses and the donkeys don't. Now that role has reversed, which shows that, donkeys will become more powerful in Kali Yuga and the learned people will be suppressed, which is also happening. Owls and crows are making noise, which is also what happens. Everybody who can speak these days in Kali Yuga, basically internally they are all foolish like owls. Then he said, smoke is covering the sky. There is thundering happening, but there are no clouds. There is lightning happening, but there are no clouds. And I can feel some earth shaking, tremors in the earth. The winds are very violent. The rivers are flowing in a, very improper way, in a perturbed way. When we put ghee or butter into the fire does not ignite. So all these, all these 5 elements have been discussed. Yudhishthira Maharaj says these 5 elements: earth, which is trembling; air, which is very violent; fire, which is not igniting; water, as in the rivers are flowing in a wrong way; and the sky is covered. So earth, air, water, sky, ether, and fire, ether, air, earth, sky, they are all not behaving properly. So what is going on? The cows are not giving milk. The deities in the temple seem to be very sad, as if they want to run away. And what is going on? So is really Lord Krishna going to leave the planet? The planet is having the footprints of Lord Krishna as of today, but are those footprints going to disappear? That was his concern. So as he was having this conversation of and being anxious, then Arjuna arrives. So And Arjun, when he arrived, of course, he was going to bring the news that Lord Krishna has disappeared, but that will be covered in the 15th chapter. So right now we are on the 14th chapter. So in the 14th, we'll continue here. When Arjun arrives, he was very, very dejected. He was almost crying. And Maharaj Yudhisthira got very scared. He thought that, the unthinkable has happened, which is that Lord Krishna has disappeared. But he's not willing to accept that reality. So he asks Arjuna, how is everyone in the Yadu family, in the Yadu dynasty? How is Vasudeva and Devaki? How are the queens of Lord Krishna? How are the sons of Lord Krishna? How is Uddhavji? How is Krishna himself? Krishna who gives pleasure, Govinda. Govinda means one who gives pleasure to the cows, one who gives pleasure to the senses, one who gives pleasure to the Brahmins. How is that Lord Govinda? How are all the members of the Yadu dynasty doing? And Arjuna doesn't speak. So Yudhishthira Maharaj asks him all these questions and Arjuna is completely dead silent. Then Yudhishthira Maharaj becomes even more anxious and thinks that, are you okay? Are you fine? Why are you not speaking? So through this section, we will see what are the qualities of a Kshatriya. So Yudhishthira Maharaj very nicely asks Arjun that are you sad because you have broken any of the what should we say? Not promise,
Principles
but
of
any
dharma.
of the
Principles of dharma.
Yeah, principles of being a Kshatriya. So he says that I can see that you have lost your bodily luster. True Kshatriya is shining with energy. He's saying you're completely almost like dead. What's going on? And then has anybody disrespected you in Dwarka? So he had gone to Dwarka to meet Lord Krishna. So he's asking, did anybody disrespect you? And you stayed for so long in Dwarka. Is it because of your long stay that somebody disrespected you? Sometimes, when guests come, you treat them nicely, but if they stay for too long, then maybe, there is some disrespect. So he asks, did anybody disrespect you because you stayed too long? Has anybody spoken harshly to you? And then he asks some other questions like, did somebody ask you any charity and you did not give? So this is another quality of a Kshatriya. When Kshatriya is asked for charity, he always gives. Or did you break any promise to anyone? Kshatriya always keeps his promise. So did you break any promise that you have given? Did you, or was there any situation where you could not protect the Brahmanas, the women, children, poor people, diseased people, the cows and the other animals? So were you not able to protect them? Or did somebody defeat you and overpowered you? And then he asks another way. He says, have you come in contact with a woman of a fallen character? So Kshatriya is supposed to uphold his character very strongly. So he says, have you contacted or come in touch with a woman of a fallen character? Or were you unable to respect? Did you mistreat a respectable woman? Any of those things have happened? And have you not cared for older people? Have you committed basically any sin, anything that is questionable? Did you do anything? And then finally he asks that, has Lord Krishna by any chance left the planet? Is that why you are so sad? Because he is your most intimate friend. And has he left the planet? So like this, Yudhishthira Maharaj questions Arjuna. So that brings us to the end of the 14th chapter of first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then in the 15th chapter, which we will see that Arjuna discloses to Yudhisthira Maharaj that yes, indeed, Lord Krishna has left the planet. And he is our life and soul. Everything, like you said, who we are today is because of Krishna. And that our life and soul has left. So we are basically like dead people walking, like that he describes. So that we will cover next week. It's already 7:25. So we will cover the 15th chapter next week. We'll also try to go into the 11th canto, where we will describe or discuss the actual pastime of the disappearance of Lord Krishna. So that we will cover next time. So yeah, I think I'll stop here and see if there's any discussion or comments, questions, anything.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
So I just wanted to say one thing, that you very wonderfully described the qualities of Kshatriya. I wish we had the the Chatur Varnam system based on Bhagavad Gita and not the distorted form as we have today. That would have been very much better.
Yes. Yes, but this is Kali Yuga.
Yeah.
So it is. We should not lament that. That's how it is. That is the nature of Kali Yuga. What we should feel so happy about that this is Kali Yuga is because the process for making spiritual progress is so simple in Kali Yuga. And we should feel happy about that and seriously take to that process. And that process is the Nama Sankirtana, the chanting of the holy names of Krishna. So we should engage in that process and make progress. Anything else?
Hare Krishna.
Anything
Prabhuji.
we can, yes, Hare Krishna.
At some point in time, would we be able to cover a little bit about Lord Shiva and Shiva's positioning in with respect to Lord Krishna and things like that?
Yes, we can cover. There are wonderful pastimes in Srimad Bhagavatam, very instructive about Lord Shiva. In the 4th canto, it is there. In many cantos, it's described. So we can definitely cover. But the understanding given to us from the Srimad Bhagavatam is that Lord Shiva is the topmost Vaishnava. So Lord Shiva is basically almost the same as Lord Vishnu, but he is in the form of a devotee of Lord Vishnu. So that is the fundamental understanding, but yes, it can be elaborated more. Now that is, yeah, I'll leave it at that. It's a important and it's a sensitive topic as well, because and there is there is the a whole different understanding from a Shaivite standpoint, and there is people focus more on the differences than on the core principles, and people will spend their lives in indulging in conflicts and conspiracies, and that is just another way for material sense enjoyment. When our neighbors fight, we get a lot of pleasure. In the neighbors, the daughter-in-law and mother-in-law are fighting, and so we are happy. We not happy, but it's a source of entertainment. So we try to seek entertainment in all these things. Oh, let us find this difference and fight, and that fighting is a source of entertainment. So, oh, Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu, different, this, that. So let us, use that as a source of conflict and get sense gratification from that. There are the teachings of Lord Shiva, the teachings of Lord Krishna, they're all one in the same. So we should way more. So just, I'm not saying your question was based on that, but just in case if that understanding may be there, is what is the position of Lord Shiva with respect to Lord Vishnu, or vice versa, and so on. It's a very complex and a very delicate topic. And we can deal with it. We can answer that. But I want to do it carefully and at some point of time. In the meantime, let us still focus on our primary business, which is Bhakti Yoga. Any other questions or comments? Okay, if nothing, then we will conclude here. Okay, thank you very much for joining. Thank you so much. We'll see you.
Thank you, Guruji.
For those who are joining the Bhagavad Gita class, we'll see you tomorrow. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Guruji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.